Hey everyone, this is Priestess Ekaette. You're watching In the Spirit with Priestess Ekaette. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy to see you here. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be a new channel. It's going to be a great uh, time building this up. I really want to just put this out here that as you get to know me on this channel, please give me your feedback, share stories with me in the comments. Of course, like, share, and subscribe. Today we're just going to be keeping it simple. Well, it's simple, but it's not. But I really wanted to touch on the Wendy Williams um, issue. So, as I'm sure most of you are aware, Wendy Williams is going through it. She's been recently diagnosed with a form of dementia, and it is really taking a toll on her and her family. Not only is she newly diagnosed with this new disease, she is also going through it with her finances, whereas they have a conservatorship on her where the company that she works with actually is in charge of Wendy's finances. They were able to get control of that and take it away from her son, who originally had control over that. So that's a big deal. Obviously, it is unfortunate for the family as they're not able to properly take care of Wendy. Everything is left up to the company to take care of her. They don't know where she's staying, they don't have much info on what the company is doing is in regards to her finances. I have seen that Wendy is going through some legal trouble with the IRS as far as paying back taxes. Not only that, her husband Kevin is also suing her for back, not child support, but back uh, spousal support, alimony. Thank you. So it's going pretty rough for poor Wendy. And as you can see, the title of this is did Wendy Williams receive her karma? And a lot of people are speculating that most of the things that she is going through is because of her karma. Um, as we all know, Wendy is a gossip columnist and she's been doing this for many years. She's made a fantastic living off of celebrity gossip and sharing all kind of information about different celebrities, athletes, stars, just the rich and famous. And it has caused her a lot of controversy. Pretty sure I don't have to go through all of that because you guys are aware, especially if you follow Wendy. If you haven't, I'm sure you can catch up by doing a quick Google or YouTube search. She has a lot of content out there. So it's just very unfortunate to see that she worked very hard to build this brand and platform, and it to be taken down in such a way. And like I said, many people believe that Wendy is getting her karma because of just how everything is going down. And it's going down in such a way that it's obviously not in Wendy's best interest to be one under the care and protection of the company that she once, contracted with or worked for. And now her family is unable to assist her. The company has done a great job of getting ahead of things and being able to either get the judge on their side, and so they are able to control all of Wendy's finances. The bank froze her money. Wendy was able to get her son under a guardianship for her for a short amount of time while she was still somewhat cognitive, but the studio did some underhanded stuff and was able to get control of her finances back from her son. So it's just a really unfortunate situation. And it does seem kind of karmatic. I can understand where that perspective comes from. But so why this show is called In the Spirit is because, I am an initiated priestess. I did go to Africa and have work done for myself. I study under a tradition that many people are not familiar with. It is called Endom. And I was able to come into my ability to do priest like abilities. And if you're familiar with African spirituality, you're aware of what a priest or a priestess is. We basically are able to do spiritual work as far as, healing work, maybe psychic mediumship, um, different types of rituals for healing and for, problem solving, basically. And we also are very connected to spirits as far as just being able to channel them or be able to communicate with them. And we're, able to communicate with our own personal spirit, our channel, our own personal higher self, our spirit guide. And we get a lot of information from the realm of the spiritual realm. So it can seem a little weird and a little creepy to people who are new to this or who are very Christian based, who believe that this type of thing is, you know, not safe or as they call it, demonic. But it is something that is actually very common and natural. It is not demonic as they say, even though it is presented that way in many cases. But it is something that gives me a gift to be able to tap into certain information. Not only, am I able to channel things, but I am naturally an empath, which means I pick up on energy. The feelings of people is my biggest empathetic gift. There are different types of empathetic gifts. There's all the claircognizance, the clairvoyance, the clairaudience. There's a whole list of them. You're more than welcome to Google all the clair uh, words that come with psychic abilities and empathetic abilities. Me, I am what they call claircognizant. I do have a knowing, and I also have the one that is feeling. I forget what it's called, but I think it's clairsentient. Is it? But basically, I can pick up on your emotions, and I can also just know things. So um, I call this in the spirit because I want to give words that come from that spiritual place and just give a lot of advice and information from that spiritual place. So when I'm on here having these discussions, it will be coming from that perspective. So regarding Wendy, I don't think Wendy may be getting some karma. Don't get me wrong, because she did put out some energy, you know, into the realm doing this work. She may have also signed some contracts that were pretty, um, you know, tied to her soul. And that can be pretty costly. Like, if you are familiar with any type of spiritual practice, we are all familiar with the idea that spirit, there are different types of spirit. There are good spirits and there's bad, there's light spirits, there's dark spirits. And each of them have their own protocols, processes, and ways of communication, ways of working with them. And that, is in any tradition, whether you're working with angels, demons, um, hierarchical spirits of any type, or from any other tradition. Each side of the spectrum of spirit is it has a protocol to it. And sometimes when people want success, they can tend to go to extremes, and by extremes I mean spiritual processes that will allow them to be able to advance oneself. And a lot of times people can go to the dark side regarding this. And going to the dark side for spiritual help can be very dangerous. It's something that, you know, many cultures have warned against. Many things like voodoo, um, uh, Santeria, any of these like traditional practices, African traditional practices, or diasporan traditional practices can be considered negative because there's so many negative connotations associated with the practices because of most people's willingness to go to the darker forces for help and assistance. And going to the darker forces can be very costly. Working with um, entities comes with a price. Most times people suggest, you know, doing white magic. White magic is working with like angels, working with people like Jesus or Buddha, um, working with your ancestors, things like that, to have positive outcomes, because these things are benevolent spirits that mean you well. They tend to take the longer route to get blessings. They tend to be the path that is recommended more for your safety, more for, the um, it although it will cost you to do these things, like you may have to pay a large tithe, you may have to pay a spiritual worker like a priest or a priestess, a babalawo or something, to do work with them to get what it is you want, but it's done in a way that is very safe. It's not harming you, it's not harming anyone around you. It's just, it's more of a positive action. Well, dark magic can tend to be something that works faster, but the cost can be huge. And it's not necessarily monetarily. Like if you're going to go to these deities to get rich and famous, um, you may get rich and famous very quickly, but the cost could be that someone close to you may die, you may have a short life, you may fall ill right after you get your wishes, you may have bad luck after you get your wishes. It just depends on what the deity is, or the deity can let you have a long life but eventually come to collect. And when they come to collect, it will be heavy. It'll be very costly. They can take everything from you all at once. They can make you fall ill. They can make you die early. There's just so many varying factors, but that tends to be the high price that you pay when you work with the darker entities, um, in these traditions, in the explanation of mystical practices. So, long story short, I do think that a lot of these celebrities do get caught up in situations where they sign up to be rich and famous, and they want to reach a certain status. It's not that every celebrity who um, signs up to work with practitioners, or I mean, I'm sorry, to become rich and famous or get their contracts and such. It's not that every celebrity is selling their soul. They're not all working with these deities either. Some of them are genuinely going through the process of getting rich and famous and doing what they have to do. But sometimes there gets to a point where you want to elevate your career, or you want to, some people go in there gung ho and they want to, reach heights right away. And some of these executives and people within Hollywood or the music industry will come and offer certain people that they think uh, seem like easy marks, or people who would be willing to, go the distance. They'll offer them certain opportunities and make certain deals with them that are tied to these dark entities. And when this happens, it can cause a lot of, it can cause the person who agrees to the terms and conditions of these, you know, offers, it can cause them to get trapped into certain contracts, blood contracts, spiritual contracts that they may not have really wanted to be beholden to. But once you sign your name on the dotted line, it is what it is, and you got to go through that process. And like I said in the beginning, when you do this, these deities are going to collect at some point. So it may be that the deities that they work with will promise you a life of rich and fame. Um, you'll have a lot of prestige. You'll enjoy your time, much like we see Diddy, R. Kelly, and a lot of other celebrities that are currently going through their downfall. They got to enjoy their life for quite some time, but now things are coming to a head. The reason that is because these deities do come to collect at some point, and that's what we are currently witnessing. So it's not per se always just karma. Some of it is, uh, blood contracts with deities and with entities that are darker in force and have, different intentions. Um, think of the movie Princess and the Frog, when the Baron, or the villain in the character, had made all these deals and arrangements with the spirits he was working with, to try to defeat the prince. And at the end of the movie, when things didn't work out, the spirits did come to drag him off. They came to collect the price that it cost him to have all that magic and have all that power and, do what he was doing. They came to collect, and so they did grab him and drag him off. That is one of those things where people need to be aware of the cost of working with deities that are, outside of the light. I'm not trying to stigmatize or demonize or, make anything sound horrific or terrifying. I'm just trying to give the facts or the perspective from what I know. If you know the same, or understand what I'm saying, share down in the comments and let me know. But basically, I wanted to ask this question about Wendy because, you know, like I said, I saw a lot of people saying that she was getting her karma, and I don't per se think it's just karma. It could be a little bit of karma, but I also think it is deeper than that. Um, Not only is what's happening to Wendy an issue, there's also the fact of the conservatorship. Um, One of the things that I want to highlight is that African spiritual practices are very powerful. African spiritual practices are also another way for us to empower ourselves. It allows us to be able to work with our ancestors, our spirit guides, hi- different hierarchical spirits within these systems that allow us to protect ourselves, heal ourselves, empower ourselves. It is a very beautiful practice that you can use to correct, things that are wrong. And I want to take this time to use Wendy's case as an example as to when using an African spiritual tradition is useful. Because for me, if I was Wendy's family and this was going on, um, I would have to use some African spiritual juju or practice to be able to correct the situation. And hear me out. Hear me out. I know a lot of people are afraid of things like voodoo and other African spiritual traditions. But please understand that these traditions give you a certain advantage and power that has been hidden for a very long time or has been, you know, yeah, pretty much hidden and dismissed for quite some time. And because it's been so neglected, Black African Americans in particular um, haven't really got to use the benefit of these practices in a way that really benefited us. And as the generations went along, we were able to recreate, the older traditions that we had when we were, in Africa or, other countries. We were able to recreate what we had in the form of hoodoo, which allowed us to still practice some African spirituality in secret here in America, and do what we could do for ourselves. But even that, with the generations, with time, and with the consistent, um, denial of African spiritual practices and the increase of, you know, Judaic traditions and practices, we saw an increase of things like hoodoo and voodoo being rejected or not dismissed and not used any longer. But here is the thing. Now is the time to be using it, okay? Now is the time to be using it. If I was Wendy's family, I would totally be consulting someone, or if I was as versed as myself, I would do it myself. I would do the work to be able to battle this company that is taking advantage of my family. A lot of times Black Americans are the law is used against us, and as we continue to fight things in the realm of, you know, under the rules of these people here in America, we're fighting a losing battle. They've always had the upper hand and the advantage when it comes to law, when it comes to helping advocate for ourselves, especially if it's us versus them. It's not usually going to turn out the best for African Americans or Black people in general using the law. We've seen it 1,001 times. You can even just look at the most recent case with Jonathan Majors. Literally, he did nothing wrong, and they still used the law to punish him or make him the bad guy and make her innocent. So it's just a thing in America. That's just what is done every so often. If you're diligent and you keep yourself in good graces, you can use the law and help yourself. I'm not going to act like it's impossible. It is possible. But many times, because Black people are uneducated about the law and they don't have the advocacy or the finances to be able to pay for the best lawyers to advocate for us, um, the law usually doesn't work out well for us. So it's just one of those things where you have to be innovative when things are not working in your favor. And the best way to be innovative in this case is to use spiritual assistance to solve this problem. So I would definitely consult a Babalawu or a traditional priest or priestess in regards to Wendy Williams' case, because it would help her um, get what's rightfully owed to them. And instead of trying to do it on, their terms, you can set your own terms and use spiritual assistance to help you get the results that you want. It is such a gratifying and empowering thing to know that you can use spirituality in such a way that you can advocate for yourself. It's not impossible. I have seen it done so many times. I've heard, had great success stories myself. I've seen other great success stories with people who work with my teacher, and they have just been completely blessed. I have done work for, friends of mine, for myself, for family, and results have been great. Like, if there's an issue, I can consult my ancestors. I can petition them to work on my behalf in the spirit and make it manifest into reality. And it's a thing. And Black people have such a power about them that they can take that um, process. They can literally do these spiritual practices and really solve their problems. So if Wendy's family really wants to help themselves and they're not feeling like battling this company with the law is going to work in their favor alone, they should still fight these people with the law, but also use spiritual assistance to help boost their case. It is a thing. It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful process, and they really should look into it. So that's all I have to say today. I want to start off my first video with this. I'm sorry if it's a little lengthy and I rambled a bit. I will get better at this, but I really wanted to share this first video with you guys and put it out there. Leave me comments and let me know what you think. Of course, I accept all your feedback. I will read the comments and interact with you as I see it. I hope to see you back here on my next video. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching with me. If you have questions, also put it in the chat, and I will see you guys next time. This is In the Spirit with Priestess Ekaette. Please like, share, and subscribe.